Hi guys, Darth Deuce here, back on our Star Wars The Vintage Collection action figure review. Today taking a look at the brand new Star Wars The Vintage Collection Deluxe Dark Trooper from The Mandalorian. This is a pretty brand spanking new release. Actually, I wasn't even expecting to get it today. I went out toy hunting, actually looking for the Black Series version of this character. Didn't find that one, but I did end up finding the Vintage Collection version, which I kind of sort of forgot was even something that was coming out. I didn't know when it was coming out as well. I wasn't expecting it to be in stores, but Walmart had it. So on the shelf, fair few copies too. So yeah, I picked it up. And yeah, this is a character or droid or whatever that I've been very much looking forward to, getting in figure form, because I really like the Dark Trooper design from the show. It was really cool when they were shown for the first time, saw the episode for the first time, and Dark Troopers were brought back in the canon, and we saw these guys, and they fought Mando, and then Luke Skywalker sliced the shit out of them and all that. So good times, very cool. But taking a quick look at the packaging here, this is the kind of standard what we've been getting with Deluxe Vintage Collection releases, which is good and bad, I guess. The good bits is that it does away with plastic, so it's a bit more environment friendly, which is always good. And personally, this packaging doesn't bother me because I open all my figures anyways. However, this packaging might be a bit of a problem for mint in box collectors because it kind of defeats the purpose. There's no window to display the figure, so you could literally fill this with anything you wanted to have weight in it. You wouldn't know if you wanted to just display it on your wall or whatever. So it kind of defeats the purpose in that regard. But I do like the toy photography pictures that they used. Pretty cool. And it shows some of the little feature there and the little stamp there, which is cool. Another image of the Dark Trooper there. Another image of the Dark Trooper there. On the back, the same image, and then everything you get in the box. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the packaging. So we don't have to open them because I already did, because there's no point of showing them in the packaging. And here we have the figure. And this is a really cool figure. In some ways, it definitely, or in many ways, it definitely is a more deluxe release. Definitely feels more like a deluxe release with just everything about it. However, I still definitely think these figures, these Deluxe Vintage Collection figures, are still pretty expensive. I think this one was like $42 Canadian before taxes. So in Canadian dollars after tax, you're looking at almost $50 for this figure, which is pretty crazy. I think that price is a bit too high, even though I do, spoiler alert, really like this figure. I would have been okay with around $35. I think that would have been good. But yeah, I think it's a little expensive. But getting right into it, at the Sculpting Paint, it might be a little hard to see all the detail because of the black here. It's all black pretty much. But yeah, the sculpt in detail I think is all really good on this one. Looks like the Dark Trooper, but the glossy black that's used pretty much all throughout the figure looks really nice and shines really nicely. It definitely makes it look like a brand spanking new droid off the assembly line. The head sculpt, which is a bit hard to tell because it's so black, but I think the head sculpt looks really good, really intimidating. Really love the design of the head. And a real cool feature that you can already tell is that this figure actually implements light piping for the eyes. So if you go around the back, this is a little clear square, and the eyes are actually light pipes. So if you take, like, this might not work the way I want it to. It kind of does. So if I shine my lamp light through it, it actually lights up the eyes. And I think that looks really cool. The downside of that is when you don't have light going through it, which is unfortunately going to be most of the time, the eyes look kind of dead. But being a Transformers collector, I always appreciate when they work in some light piping for characters, figures like this, and for a droid that's eyes will be light up, very much like a Transformer. I really like the light piping feature, even though most of the time I guess I won't be taking advantage of it. But very cool regardless that they did that. I don't think that's a feature that the Black Series figure has. But I don't have that figure, so I'm going off of speculation, what I've seen from reviews, so keep that in mind. Rest of the figure is pretty cool. We got the big shoulder pads. They are a flexible plastic. I guess maybe technically on hinge joints, but they don't really hinge. They just kind of flex out of the way. Torso looks really good. A little bit of red paint for these lights or details right there. And then all throughout the figure, you'll see some flashes of gray or silver, like silver for these circular joints, very K2SO looking like, which is very cool. It's a nice mechanical detail around the waist, which looks nice. And the belt, which has some pouches on it. Hands look good. The legs, and you got more mechanical detail in there underneath the armor around the hip, which is very cool. And you got the knee joint, knee guards, or whatever, knee pieces. I got some little bits here on the thigh, kind of looks like shell casings or something, which is kind of interesting. And the feet look pretty good as well. And it's even a little bit of detail on the bottom of the feet. And there are 2 holes here, and I'll share what that's for in a moment. You can probably already guess from looking at the packaging. But yeah, on the back, you know, not too much to talk about. There's not a lot of paint, if I'm being honest. There's paint detail where there should be, but it's just a lot of glossy black, honestly. But that's fine, because that's how they look in the show. But yeah, really good looking figure. Really love this design, and I think they really nailed the look. In terms of articulation, you do have 2 joints in the head. You have a joint at the base of the head and then a joint at the base of the neck. So it looks down quite a bit, pivots decently, rotation, and then you can get the head looking up just a little bit. It doesn't look up maybe as far as I'd like it to, but it goes up a bit. There's a torso joint, which moves pretty good, pivots decent, crunch just a bit, but arcs back enough where you can kind of get it all arced back for flight poses to look decent. I don't think it's perfect, but it's not too bad. Ball hinge of the shoulders, which move to about 90, and then rotate, of course. The shoulder pad is going to hinder, but not too much. They can get up pretty high. Swivel at the elbow, along with a single hinge that goes about 90 degrees. A swivel at the wrists, as well as in and out hinges for the wrists. So that's pretty good. The new style ball joints in the hips, which move really well, so the figure can pretty much almost full split. Kicks out pretty far. There's a biceps. It goes back actually quite a bit, sorry. Goes back quite a bit. Swivels at the thigh, which is very nicely hidden by the droid's plate armor on the thighs, which is very good. Single hinge in the knee, which does scare me a bit. It is a bit tight. I don't want to snap the knee off. Bends just about 90. You do have a swivel joint both at the base, at the shin here, as well as at the upper part of the knee. Kind of unnecessary to have both be swivel joints, but these still more articulation. Not going to complain. Hinge at the ankles, move up a lot, move down a lot, and have a really good ankle pivot. That's a really good pivot. So pretty great articulation. You can get a lot of great posing out of this guy. Blaster poses, no problem. It all works out really nicely. In terms of accessories, he does come with a fair bit of stuff. Of course, he's got to come with his blaster. Unfortunately, just cast in a black plastic. I do kind of wish it was in a different color, maybe a gray. I think the Black Series one is gray. To be fair, I'm not sure what's accurate, but because the blaster is just the same, almost the same color as the Dark Trooper himself, it can kind of get lost a little bit within the colors of the figure. It would have been nice if it was made different colors to kind of have some different things going on. But he grips it well in the right trigger hand that you have, and you can get rifle aiming poses pretty much no problem. He has no problem holding that in a really good rifle shooting pose, so that's really good. So yeah, that's awesome. Always love when rifle wielding characters can hold their rifles correctly. That's very good. He also comes with interchangeable hands, so you can unplug these hands, which I actually haven't done yet. I'll do them both, screw it. So you can plug these hands. You get on the figure is a right trigger hand and a left grip hand, and you get two fists. The fists slot in really nice and easy, but they're still very secure. And then there you have the fists. They look kind of small. The Black Series one kind of has the same thing going, but I'm assuming this is just accurate. They're supposed to look like this. But yeah, you have the fists. So you can put up the dukes. You can punch the wall or the door or whatever. Or you can beat the shit out of Mando, whatever you want to do there. So that's very cool. One feature I actually didn't talk about with the blaster is that there's this little like ammo clip or something on the side. He actually has a tab hole in his thigh. and you can actually plug the rifle into his leg for storage. That's awesome. I absolutely love when they incorporate weapon storage onto figures. I actually don't think the Black Series one has this feature either, although I could be wrong about that. That's very cool. You also get a couple of blast effects that I believe are reused from the Deluxe Book of Boba Fett, and they're cast basically just in an orange translucent plastic, get a little bit lighter at the ends, and then basically on the bottom of the feet you have the 2 holes on the heels for figure stands, and then where the actual thrusters are, there's holes for these thruster effects. So you kind of got to push a bit, get them squeezed in there, but once you get them in there, they are relatively secure and they look really cool. And you can do that, and I have them like, I don't know, you can have them hovering, you can get them up and get them posed like they were flying when they fly around. So you can do that as well. Unfortunately, you can't, the articulation is just limited enough where you can't quite look all the way forward, but it works out decently enough. Unfortunately, no flight stand or display base to actually accommodate that, and I feel like that's unfortunate. At the price point, it would be nice to get a flight stand, especially when I feel like flight stands for 3 3/4" figures isn't too common to come across. Like, I don't actually, I might have to look in to see if I can find some just like bulk 3 3/4" flight stands, because I don't really ever see those. But those are still good accessories to have. And then the last big accessory is you actually get the docking station or whatever that's in the ship, and I got the rows of them. And you got these 2 little hose pieces that are actually separate in the box that plug into the back. I might have them not in the right way. They might have to be flipped. I'm not entirely sure. I think this is right, but maybe not. And anyways, you can kind of get the figure in there, kind of get them around these wires. It is kind of finicky, I won't lie. Getting caught on stuff. But you can kind of do that, get them into the recharge pod station place, and then there you can kind of make it look like he's in the recharge station ready to deploy. And then the idea is you can buy a multiple of these and you can stack them beside each other. I don't know if they attach together or not, but you can stack them beside each other and kind of recreate maybe your own diorama of the bay that has all the Dark Troopers in it on the light frigate from the show. So that's really cool. And a cool accessory, and it has a little bit of paint, mainly cast in black plastic, some decent sculpt detail. You get some of these red painted highlights, which is pretty nice. But yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, overall, I think this is a really, really strong release. Like, I think this is no joke. I would say probably one of the best 3 3/4" Star Wars figures Hasbro's put out in recent years in terms of like engineering and accessories and quality. This thing is super, super good. To be fair, a lot of the figures from this year have been super good. The Book of Boba Fett was incredible. The new Obi-Wan Darth Vader is incredible. The list goes on. They've had just win after win after win, in my opinion, with the Vintage Collection, where I feel like Black Series has definitely slacked in some areas. For whatever reason, Vintage Collection, whoever's behind the team on Vintage Collection, they seem to be a bit more in touch than the Black Series team is, which is a bit unfortunate. I am still looking forward to getting the Black Series version of this figure and see how it stacks up, but I gotta say, I feel like this figure might be the better one, with light piping and the weapon storage and the extra accessory of having the entire docking station. Just very, very cool. I still think it's a bit overpriced, don't get me wrong. Collecting has become such an expensive thing to be into now, but still very, very cool. And I would definitely recommend picking this figure up if you're interested, whether you're collecting the Mando stuff, you like collecting droids or Imperial Troopers or whatever. This is such a good one to get. I definitely wouldn't skip out on it if you can find it. Really quickly though, I will do a couple of comparisons. Again, I don't have the Black Series version, so I can't do a comparison with that. But just with a few other 3 3/4" figures, here he is with one of the Din Djarins I have. I don't have any Season 2 versions of them, but you can see how they stack up. And the Dark Trooper is definitely bulkier and is just a little bit taller. I think that works pretty well. They weren't like massive, massive droids, but they definitely were bigger than the average guy. Speaking of your average guy, here's a Remnant Stormtrooper. Just slightly taller, but I think this looks good. And then lastly, here he is with Moff Gideon. Significantly, oh, he doesn't want to stand. Significantly not significantly, but still noticeably taller. But Gideon is a bit of a shorter character, I find, compared to other figures. But I think it looks really good. So yeah, like I said, this is a really good figure. I do think it is overpriced a bit, even though you do get a fair amount of stuff. The engineering and articulation is really good, and the paint apps and everything's really nice. I definitely still think it's a bit overpriced. Definitely going to be expensive if you want to army build them. I was tempted to get two, but at the price, I just can't justify it. It's just too much. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next one. May the Force be with you.